Alright, so I wanted to show you this t-shirt before I upload the other video. I'm fighting for honor, and many of you have seen me, who've been subscribing to this channel for a long time. You see me print screenshots from this book right here, okay? To get it through their heads, the way I see things, I put it here. Now, for a long time, I've known I was a great martial artist, and so I was trying to force myself to do combos drugged, because I knew, even on psych meds, that if I could be the top martial artist on psychiatric medication, that would set the standard real high. So high that probably nobody would ever be able to beat that. And I've accomplished that. And I've even done better than that. I've been the top martial artist covertly drugged. Because on psych meds, you can kind of understand the dosage and kind of get used to it and understand how to work with it a little bit. Not to, it's not going to help too much, but you can do a little something. But covertly drugged, it shows that they're doing it underhandedly. It's something. It's an offensive technique used by them to sabotage what I'm trying to do. Now, a lot of you will look at me and will say, "Well, this guy's not that big. He's not that big and strong." It's a very stupid thing to say. I am pretty strong. I'm stronger than the average man. I hit harder than the average martial artist, the average black belt. And that's really neither here nor there. I talk about transferable skills. You see, the fact of the matter is quite simple, really. Say you look at the gym, right? There's fast twitch muscles. There's slow twitch muscles, right? There's people who work out to get massive and big, and there's people who want to be defined. They want to have definition in their muscles. Bruce Lee was defined, right? Bolo was kind of big, somewhat defined, big and strong, but Bruce Lee was more defined than he was. Okay, and so let's look at animals, for example. A hippo, which is a very dangerous animal. Make no mistake, a hippo is a dangerous animal. It kills, those animals kill quite a few people every year. They're big and massive. A gorilla, silverback, it's big and massive, and it fights in a way that suits what it's trying to do. Since I am Heru, okay? Heru is a falcon. Hey, the falcon and the leopard and the the Zulu warrior. All right? I'm going to put these things into perspective for you, okay? There's the falcon. There's the leopard. Let me go ahead and put this here. Okay. The falcon, the leopard, and the Zulu warrior. Now, what do they have in common? Is this Zulu warrior massive? Are African warriors historically massive guys? No. Because they want to kill people, and to kill people, you have to outmaneuver them. Okay? And they have transferable skills. When they lose their spear in battle, they have to be able to grab another weapon. The Zulus had this kind of club-like weapon, and some of them had, the Igbos had this kind of short sword kind of weapon. A Kanga blade, similar to that. Most of you don't know what that is. You have to refer to my other videos. So what do these have in common? Well, number one, there's a leopard society of the Igbos. Shaka Zulu talks about the leopard. The leopard hunts, waiting for the best moment to strike its prey. Something like that. Strategy, speed, and physical contact. Where was, being massive? Where's being strong? No. A warrior wanted to be fast, formation, strike, bow, 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 back into formation, bow, 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 retreat, this line, coming around, flank the enemy, shields, boom, bang, bang, outmaneuver, and somebody say, well, he's playing with toys now. No, I'm illustrating my point. What does a falcon do? It flies around, right? It sees its prey, whoosh, direct, precise. A snake on the ground, a squirrel, a rat, whoosh, got it in its talons, The leopard hunts, waiting for the best moment to strike. And a lot of the animals it strikes are bigger than the leopard is. It comes in, the bigger animal, strikes. So Do I want to be big and strong? Do I want to fight the white man's way, the Asian man's way, the Jew Krav Maga way? No. I want to fight the African way. I fight the African way, and I fight for honor the African way. The history of African martial art traditions in the Atlantic world. Now, where am I? Ah, yes. You talk about the transatlantic slave trade. Where am I? The same place that the quote-unquote slaves ended up. Are you starting to understand why it makes more sense to fight the way that I do than to fight the way that you think might suit you, or, what have you? This is who I am. Fighting for honor and all that is right. This is how I fight. I've learned the other races' ways of fighting. I've learned the African and South American and Angolan ways of fighting. I've learned some boxing techniques and all this stuff, and I've said, well, where is the African root of all these things? And I applied that very well. And now I am the top martial artist in this land. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Africans have the most effective martial arts. Period. If other races had such effective martial arts, they wouldn't have spent so much time making armor and things of this nature. Okay? And riding on horseback, as you see the Semites and the Mongols and what have you. They wouldn't have taken that route. Who introduced the chariots to, Egypt? The Hyksos and so on. People from other places. Because they couldn't rely on their expert, archery. They couldn't rely on their expert hand-to-hand combat. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. And that's part of what these people are trying to cover up, because the people in charge are Asians, they're whites, and they're Jews. And the term martial art is a Roman term. Going back to, when I talk about the Sol Invictus, you talk about the Roman Empire, the Statue of Liberty on old Roman coins, you talk about Greco-Roman mythology and cults, Orpheus, Dionysus, Demeter, Diana, the Pythagoreans, those who followed Plato and Socrates, Alexander the Great, the mysteries. Now, what did these things all have in common? There was, in their culture, there was war. Mars, the god of war. Martial arts, the art of war. So, one can quickly come to the conclusion that Israel, that spends tons on defense, America gives money and foreign aid for Israel to build the defense, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, the Mossad, and what have you. Right? They have their own martial art, Krav Maga. So, by default, they don't want to admit that a black guy is the top martial artist in the most diverse nation on earth. White people who have the term martial arts, who make up the majority of this nation. Over 70% of the citizens of America are white. Do you think they want to admit that the top martial artist is a black guy when martial arts is a white word that goes back to Roman? It only has to do with white culture. More white people are in martial arts in America than anyone else. It has to do with Roman culture. There's secret society philosophies behind the system. Do you think they will ever admit that a black guy is the top martial artist? And do I have to explain to you why Asians do not want to admit that either? do I really have to explain that to you? I don't think so. Do I have to explain to you the difference between how this guy trained and some guy in the MMA, and how this guy is closer to martial arts than MMA guys are? Because he did combat arts for actual combat. He developed transferable skills. He was only interested in transferable skills that he could apply in single combat and in combats in groups, in traditional warfare. Do I need to explain to you what transferable skills mean and skill sets are? And how hand techniques are the most valuable skill sets. Does this guy go into battle in a wrestling stance? Or does he go into battle in a martial arts sort of stance, with his hands, his upper body being the most valued skill set that he has? He's trained his leg muscles to, move in and to do all that. And of course, you all know that, I played basketball for many years. My kicks are pretty damn precise. You know that. You've seen some of my videos where I do very fast kicks, very precise kicks, very powerful kicks. For those of you on the Sid Jackson channel, go to the James Jackson channel. Okay? But what is the most important skill set? So when you're talking martial arts, what are you talking about here? Does the leopard rely on grappling? Does the falcon? Does the Zulu warrior? Does the Igbo warrior? No, 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 and no. They rely on armed combat or unarmed, but the transferable skills that are involved in each. So martial arts, what does it mean? It's right there in the name, Mars, the god of war. Even from an ancient, or a Roman perspective. Okay, mainstream white people, they twist everything. Okay, mainstream culture twists everything, tries to make it better for a bunch of effeminate sissies, females, and most of Americans are obese, so they don't want to admit that, being defined as, something of a warrior, they want to appeal to the masses and so on and so forth. But when you're looking at, well, most Americans are overweight, that is, and there's a high obesity rate. But when you're looking at war arts, we are talking about transferable skills from sparring, period. And when you're talking about the things I'm talking about, sparring, self-defense, and combat skills, okay? Transferable skills from sparring. Self-defense, picking up bottles, using keys and knives, It's very common. Stabbings are very common in America. Even when somebody pulls out a gun, that same hand speed you have, it'll help you pull out your gun quicker. That coordination you have, that dexterity, the balance that they're trying to mess up with their druggings, that they have messed up by covertly drugging me. So when you look at it, absolutely there's a cover up here. Now, it also involves Hispanics. Why? Well, let's look at the MMA. The MMA absolutely is geared toward, wrestlers and things of that nature, grapplers. Okay, now, who are the wrestlers? Well, there's a lot of Hispanic people in wrestling because they're kind of short and stocky and, what have you. The Hispanic body is a little bit more conducive for wrestling, just like the Native Americans, because they're shorter and stockier. And that's fine. Wrestling has its place, but don't confuse wrestling and grappling with combat arts. Mars is the god of war, not the god of grappling. How many people do you think are killed in ancient Roman combat by wrestling versus how many are fucking chopped up and shot with an arrow? Combat arts. If I can stab you first, then I'm a superior warrior to you. I'm a superior martial artist. If I can, I can hit you first in sparring, I'm a superior martial artist. And if your people generally have the body type that makes it harder for them to hit another person first or stab them first, then naturally they are an inferior race or ethnic group. Now, I have no problem with people who are smaller, but this is part of what is going on here. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for them to try to cover this up, they're trying to pretend that some races are less intelligent. They're trying to say these people are less intelligent, they're big brutes. Because they know on some level, we all know this, that there's some groups of people, whoever they may be, that tend to be big and strong. And other people tend to be either short and skinny, short and stocky, or short and kind of oafy and clumsy, whoever they may be. I've gone over this before. And recent events make, for once I'm starting to get a little pleasure from pointing this out after the way I've been shunned and mistreated by other races disproportionately. Let's face it, there are Sambos in my race, but almost every member of every other race are complete fucking traitors. For the most part. Society in general, for the most part, is complete fucking traitors. Well, I'm almost out of time. I hope you understand the difference between a true martial artist fighting for honor and a sort of a grappling sport that's done traditionally versus war arts, martial arts. Thank you.